In Stardew Valley, the Skull Caverns are a pretty scary place for some people, but some does not include Godzilla Freak. Today I'll be breaking down how he managed to get 3 world records in one day. Make sure you stick around to find out how he got over 9,000 iridium in a single day. The second you load into the save, you need to pause it instantly. When you're in your inventory, you need to tab over to a desert warp totem and use it to warp to the desert. If you do it correctly, you should arrive in the Skull Caverns at 6 AM. But wait. How do you run the distance from the warp totem location to the mines? I'll tell you how. A chair conveyor. A chair conveyor basically looks like this, and the idea is to hop on and off of the chairs and make it to the Skull Caverns without a tick passing. Side note, a tick in layman's term is basically just a period of time passing in-game. This is signified by the time moving 10 in-game minutes. A tick lasts around 7.17 seconds long. Side note over. Once you enter the Skull Caverns, you instantly start laddering down. The reason you do this is because the earlier floors have almost no iridium compared to the later floors. Godzilla doesn't consistently ladder to the exact same floor, but he aims for roughly 1,175. But laddering itself is a lot more complicated than it might seem. You want to get as far as you possibly can in one tick, and that involves leaving the game unpaused as little as possible. When you go down a ladder, the game pauses, but the time unpauses as soon as you reach the black screen. Thankfully, you can pause the game inside of the black screen to stop time from passing. Another staircase thing you might have thought of is finding where you can place the staircase. Since you have the game paused most of the time, you can't see whether or not a tile next to you is valid. And by valid, I mean you can place a staircase on it. There's no rocks, no ores on it. However, when you go down the staircase and you're in said black screen where the time unpauses, you can briefly make out the outline of the staircase. If it's green, you can place it. This saves time from having to unpause and check if you can place the staircase where you're aiming for. If it's red, you just move the mouse to another potentially valid spot and check by pressing E and F quickly. This lets you check if the tile is green. Unfortunately, Godzilla Freak was not aware of this at the time he did this run, but it's still an interesting fact I thought I should include. The reason he pressed F instead of E twice is because E and F is faster than just pressing E twice. This lets you get down around 70 floors every tick, or 70 floors every 10 in-game minutes. Obviously, it's way more complicated in the way I just described it, and it takes tens of hours to nail it down to the extent Godzilla has. Now that he's laddered all the way down to floor 1,175, he starts looking for iridium floors. This isn't a normal staircase layout like, for example, spiral floor, but he's basically looking for a floor with 2+ instantly shootable iridium nodes right next to him, and a clump of 4 to 5 close-ish to him. Another bonus is a ton of iridium that he could mega bomb. Now after you blow it up, me or you might just pick up the iridium and keep moving, but not in this run. Before the iridium explodes, he tries to put on a lucky ring and have a magic rock candy eaten. This increases luck and mining level to get you more iridium. After he blows it up, he instantly pauses and equips magnet ring and a glowstone ring for the magnetism. You don't need to use those specific ring combos, basically just any ring that gives you magnetism. If you didn't know, you can actually pick up items while time is paused. The extra magnetism lets you pick up as much as possible without needing to unpause and move to pick up more. However, in certain specific scenarios, when he's blowing up large amounts of iridium, he also eats ginger ale right as it explodes for some extra ore, and if it's a particularly large explosion, he also eats a crispy bass for the 64 extra magnetism. This is basically a method invented by Godzilla Freak called food swapping. It's a little bit much, but every little bit helps. And another fun but kind of disturbing fact is he actually farmed all of this food himself. No CGV cheats menu. My god. Apparently catching all the largemouth bass was an absolute nightmare. Another small strategy he used is placing down a staircase near a clump of iridium that's not next to a wall, since you can only shoot a slingshot off of a wall, but you can thankfully shoot a slingshot off of a staircase, letting you get the iridium that you couldn't normally reach. The rough iridium per hour goal was around 500, but it increases as you get further down in the mines, cause more iridium. The run took dozens of attempts, most of them dying to just messing up reaching Skull Caverns in the first place. Other ones died from messing up staircases or just other small mistakes. Crazily enough, like I mentioned, this run actually beat 3 world records in one day. The most iridium in Skull Caverns since the nerf, the most prismatic shards in Skull Caverns since the nerf, and the deepest floor ever reached. If you don't know what nerf I'm talking about, basically in the patch 1.4.1 of the game, multiple things were changed to make Skull Caverns less lucrative. Slingshot explosion radius was made smaller from 3 tiles to 2, and iridium count increases much slower after floor 100. According to Godzilla Freak, floor 600 used to be deep enough for a solid iridium floor, but now it's around 5,000 for a full iridium floor. Ironically enough, this run actually beat the Habu's old run, where he was aiming for just floor depth and not even going for iridium. This just shows how much better the new laddering method is compared to the old one. Godzilla thinks that if you could ladder all the way down and not get any iridium, you could get all the way down to floor 8,000. Now if you think that 140 prismatic shards is a lot, and that he was insanely lucky, you'd be wrong. This was actually very unlucky. Just kidding, around 100 prismatic shards would normally be expected, so 140 is way higher. Godzilla also said that if you smelted anything, you would make around 3 million gold. That's pretty much it. If you have any other questions, go to Godzilla Freak's channel and comment them on the video of the run. Thanks for watching. Also, interact with the video by liking, commenting, and subscribing. Also, a huge thanks to Godzilla Freak for helping with this video. Go check out his channel if you're interested in more, like, insane skull cavern runs.